Ever found yourself caught in a relational labyrinth, where the path ahead seems perpetually shrouded in ambiguity? Have you ever questioned why certain connections feel profoundly unbalanced, like a seesaw permanently tilted to one side, or observed disconcerting fluctuations in behavior? A perplexing dance between saccharine sweetness and disconcerting coldness? This introspective journey isn't about casting blame or pointing accusatory fingers. It's about cultivating a discerning eye, a capacity to perceive the nuanced undercurrents that often dictate the true nature of our interpersonal bonds. We're embarking on an exploration of a delicate and often overlooked dynamic: the potential exploitation of Stoic men within romantic relationships. Now, before we delve deeper, it's essential to address the term Stoic. Stoicism, at its core, is a philosophy emphasizing virtue, reason, and living in accordance with nature. A Stoic individual strives for emotional resilience, self-control, and acceptance of what they cannot change. This isn't to say that Stoic men are devoid of emotion. Rather, they possess a cultivated ability to manage and channel their feelings constructively. However, these admirable qualities can, unfortunately, become vulnerabilities if not recognized and protected. The allure of Stoicism can be strong. Stoic men are often perceived as reliable, steadfast, and emotionally grounded. Their calm demeanor and rational approach to problem-solving can be immensely attractive, especially in a world often characterized by emotional volatility. They are often seen as pillars of strength, offering stability and a sense of security to their partners. However, this very perception can create an imbalance, an opportunity for manipulation. The central premise of this exploration is not to paint women as inherently manipulative. It's crucial to acknowledge that manipulative behavior exists across all genders and relationship types. However, the specific dynamics at play when a woman exploits a Stoic man warrant careful examination. The perceived strength and resilience of the Stoic man can inadvertently create an environment where his needs are overlooked, his boundaries are tested, and his emotional well-being is taken for granted. This essay will unravel 5 key indicators that may suggest a woman is, consciously or unconsciously, exploiting the Stoic qualities of her partner. These signs are not presented as definitive proof, but rather as potential red flags that warrant further introspection and open communication within the relationship. We will examine the nuances of ignoring his needs, avoiding important conversations, offering vague promises about the future, keeping the relationship a secret, and using emotional leverage. This is more than just a superficial observation. It's about understanding the core principles of healthy relationships: reciprocity, mutual respect, and open communication. It's about empowering individuals, regardless of their philosophical leanings, to recognize potential imbalances and to advocate for their own needs within the context of a loving partnership. It's about fostering a deeper understanding of relational dynamics and promoting healthier, more equitable bonds. The goal here is not to incite paranoia or distrust. On the contrary, it's to encourage critical thinking and self-awareness. By understanding these potential pitfalls, both men and women can cultivate more fulfilling and balanced relationships. It is about learning to identify potentially detrimental patterns and to proactively address them before they escalate into more significant problems. Ultimately, it's about creating a space for genuine connection, where both partners feel valued, respected, and understood. This will require vulnerability, honesty, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. This essay is structured to provide a comprehensive exploration of each key indicator, delving into the psychological underpinnings and offering practical advice on how to navigate these challenging situations. We will examine real-world examples, drawing from anecdotal evidence and established psychological principles to illustrate the complexities of these dynamics. The aim is to provide actionable insights that empower you to create healthier and more fulfilling relationships grounded in mutual respect, empathy, and genuine connection. The following sections will explore these key indicators in detail, providing you with the tools and knowledge to navigate the complexities of relationships and to identify potential signs of exploitation. By understanding these dynamics, you can protect yourself from emotional harm and cultivate more authentic and fulfilling partnerships. Imagine yourself adrift in a vast, seemingly boundless ocean, desperately signaling for help, only to find your cries swallowed by the immensity of the sea. This metaphor, while dramatic, captures the essence of what it feels like to be in a relationship where your needs are consistently overlooked, where your efforts to connect and be understood are met with indifference or, worse, outright dismissal. This is not simply a matter of occasional forgetfulness or momentary lapses in empathy. It's a pervasive pattern of behavior that erodes the very foundation of a healthy and loving partnership. At the heart of any successful relationship lies the principle of reciprocity, a mutual exchange of care, support, and understanding. Both partners should feel valued, heard, and understood. Their needs, both emotional and practical, should be given consideration and addressed with empathy and a genuine desire to contribute to their well-being. When this reciprocity is absent, the relationship becomes fundamentally unbalanced, creating a breeding ground for resentment, frustration, and ultimately, emotional disconnection. The subtle nuances of neglecting a partner's needs can be insidious, often masquerading as harmless oversights or unintentional omissions. It might manifest as a consistent failure to acknowledge or validate their emotions, dismissing their concerns as trivial or insignificant. It could involve a lack of interest in their hobbies or passions, relegating them to the periphery of the relationship. Or it could take the form of consistently prioritizing one's own needs and desires over those of their partner, creating a sense of inequality and marginalization. For a Stoic man, this can be particularly damaging. His inherent tendency towards self-reliance and emotional restraint can inadvertently mask his needs, making it easier for his partner to overlook them. He might be less likely to vocalize his desires or express his vulnerabilities, leading his partner to assume that he is content and self-sufficient. However, this assumption can be profoundly misguided. Even the most stoic individual has emotional needs, a yearning for connection, validation, and support. When these needs are consistently ignored, it can lead to a deep sense of isolation and resentment. The consequences of this neglect can be far-reaching. Over time, the Stoic man may begin to withdraw emotionally, feeling as though his efforts to connect are futile. He may suppress his emotions, further reinforcing the perception that he is emotionally detached. This can create a vicious cycle of disconnection, leading to a gradual erosion of intimacy and a growing sense of alienation within the relationship. One of the most poignant examples of this dynamic is the consistent failure to acknowledge or reciprocate acts of affection. Imagine a scenario where the Stoic man consistently expresses his love and appreciation through thoughtful gestures, acts of service, or words of affirmation, only to be met with lukewarm responses or, worse, outright indifference. He might plan a romantic getaway, cook a special meal, or offer heartfelt compliments, only to receive a perfunctory thank you or a dismissive shrug. This lack of reciprocity can be deeply disheartening, leading him to question the genuineness of his partner's feelings and his own value within the relationship. He may begin to feel as though his efforts are unappreciated and that his partner is simply taking him for granted. Over time, this can erode his self-esteem and leave him feeling emotionally depleted. Another manifestation of this neglect can be the consistent failure to prioritize his needs and desires when making joint decisions. Imagine a scenario where the couple is planning a vacation. The Stoic man might express a desire to visit a particular destination or engage in a specific activity, only to have his preferences dismissed or overridden by his partner, who prioritizes her own desires without any regard for his feelings. This consistent disregard for his needs can create a sense of inequality and marginalization, leading him to feel as though his opinions and desires are not valued within the relationship. He may begin to feel as though he is simply a passenger in his own life, with little control over the direction of the relationship. Furthermore, ignoring a Stoic man's needs can extend beyond tangible actions and encompass a failure to acknowledge or validate his emotions. Stoic men are often perceived as being emotionally strong and resilient, capable of handling any challenge without flinching. However, this perception can be misleading. Even the most Stoic individual experiences a range of emotions, including sadness, anger, and fear. When a Stoic man attempts to express these emotions, he may be met with dismissive comments or a lack of empathy from his partner. She might tell him to toughen up or stop being so sensitive, failing to recognize the validity of his feelings. This can be incredibly damaging, leading him to suppress his emotions and further reinforce the perception that he is emotionally detached. The key to addressing this issue lies in open and honest communication. The Stoic man must learn to articulate his needs clearly and assertively, without fear of judgment or ridicule. He must communicate to his partner the importance of reciprocity and mutual respect within the relationship. The partner, in turn, must be willing to listen with empathy and understanding, acknowledging the validity of his needs and making a genuine effort to meet them. She must challenge her own assumptions and preconceived notions about Stoicism and recognize that even the most emotionally resilient individual has a yearning for connection, validation, and support. This requires a willingness to engage in difficult conversations, to confront uncomfortable truths, and to make a conscious effort to cultivate a more balanced and equitable relationship. It requires both partners to be vulnerable and honest, to express their needs and desires openly and without fear of judgment. Ultimately, addressing the issue of ignored needs requires a fundamental shift in perspective. Both partners must recognize that a healthy relationship is not a one-way street, but a dynamic and reciprocal exchange of care, support, and understanding. It requires a conscious effort to prioritize the needs of both partners, to communicate openly and honestly, and to cultivate a deep sense of empathy and compassion. Only then can the relationship thrive and flourish, providing a safe and nurturing space for both partners to grow and evolve. The Stoic man must embrace his vulnerability, and the partner must reciprocate with empathy and understanding, working together to create a relationship where both needs are valued and met. Imagine standing before a locked door, knowing that behind it lies the key to understanding, connection, and resolution, yet finding yourself unable to unlock it. This is the frustrating and isolating experience of being in a relationship where important conversations are consistently avoided, where attempts to address crucial issues are met with deflection, evasion, or outright stonewalling. This pattern of avoidance can create a climate of uncertainty, mistrust, and emotional distance, slowly eroding the foundation of the relationship. Open and honest communication is the lifeblood of any healthy relationship. It's the conduit through which we express our needs, share our vulnerabilities, resolve conflicts, and build intimacy. When this communication is consistently blocked, the relationship becomes stagnant, unable to grow and evolve. Issues fester beneath the surface. Unresolved conflicts create resentment, and the partners drift further apart. The avoidance of important conversations can manifest in a variety of ways. It might involve changing the subject whenever a sensitive topic arises, offering vague or evasive answers to direct questions, or simply shutting down emotionally and refusing to engage in dialogue. It could also take the form of passive-aggressive behavior, such as giving the silent treatment or resorting to sarcasm and veiled insults. For a Stoic man, this pattern of avoidance can be particularly challenging. His inherent tendency towards emotional restraint and self-control might make him hesitant to initiate difficult conversations, fearing that he will be perceived as overly emotional or confrontational. He might also be inclined to avoid conflict, believing that it is better to suppress his feelings than to risk upsetting his partner. However, this avoidance can be counterproductive. Suppressing his feelings can lead to a buildup of resentment and frustration, which can eventually erupt in unexpected and damaging ways. Furthermore, his reluctance to engage in difficult conversations can inadvertently reinforce his partner's avoidance behavior, creating a pattern of silence and misunderstanding. One of the most common examples of this dynamic is the avoidance of conversations about the future of the relationship. Imagine a scenario where the Stoic man attempts to discuss long-term goals, such as marriage, children, or shared financial planning. His partner might respond with vague platitudes, such as, "We'll see what happens," or "Let's just take things one day at a time." While these responses might seem harmless on the surface, they can be deeply unsettling for the Stoic man, who values clarity, commitment, and long-term planning. He might begin to question his partner's commitment to the relationship and fear that she is not as invested in the future as he is. Another manifestation of this avoidance can be the reluctance to discuss sensitive emotional issues. Imagine a scenario where the Stoic man expresses feelings of sadness, anxiety, or vulnerability. His partner might dismiss his emotions as irrational or unnecessary, telling him to just get over it or stop being so negative. This lack of empathy and validation can be incredibly damaging, leading him to suppress his emotions and further reinforce the perception that he is emotionally detached. He might begin to feel as though his partner is not a safe space for him to express his vulnerabilities, leading to a gradual erosion of intimacy and trust. Furthermore, the avoidance of important conversations can extend to the realm of conflict resolution. Disagreements and conflicts are inevitable in any relationship, but the key to resolving them lies in open and honest communication. When conflicts are avoided or suppressed, they can fester and escalate, leading to resentment and bitterness. Imagine a scenario where the couple has a disagreement about a particular issue. Instead of addressing the conflict directly, the partner might resort to passive-aggressive behavior, such as giving the silent treatment or making sarcastic remarks. This avoidance can prevent the couple from reaching a resolution and can lead to a buildup of resentment and frustration. The key to breaking this pattern of avoidance lies in creating a safe and supportive environment for open and honest communication. Both partners must feel comfortable expressing their needs, sharing their vulnerabilities, and addressing conflicts directly, without fear of judgment or ridicule. The Stoic man must learn to initiate difficult conversations with assertiveness and compassion, clearly articulating his needs and expressing his feelings in a calm and respectful manner. He must also be willing to listen with empathy and understanding to his partner's perspective, acknowledging the validity of her feelings and making a genuine effort to find common ground. The partner, in turn, must be willing to engage in these conversations with honesty and openness, challenging her own avoidance tendencies and making a conscious effort to create a safe and supportive space for dialogue. She must also be willing to acknowledge her own vulnerabilities and to express her feelings in a clear and respectful manner. This requires a willingness to engage in difficult conversations, to confront uncomfortable truths, and to make a conscious effort to cultivate a more open and communicative relationship. It requires both partners to be vulnerable and honest, to express their needs and desires openly and without fear of judgment. Ultimately, addressing the issue of avoided conversations requires a fundamental shift in perspective. Both partners must recognize that open and honest communication is not a luxury, but a necessity for a healthy and fulfilling relationship. It requires a conscious effort to prioritize communication, to create a safe and supportive environment for dialogue, and to cultivate a deep sense of empathy and compassion. Only then can the relationship thrive and flourish, providing a space for both partners to grow, connect, and resolve conflicts constructively. The Stoic man must find his voice, and the partner must reciprocate with active listening and genuine engagement, working together to foster a relationship built on transparency and mutual understanding. Imagine standing at a crossroads, your heart filled with hope and anticipation for the journey ahead, only to discover that the map you've been given is incomplete, the directions unclear, and the destination shrouded in ambiguity. This is the disorienting and unsettling feeling of being in a relationship where vague promises about the future are consistently made but never fulfilled, where the prospect of long-term commitment remains tantalizingly out of reach. This pattern of vagueness can create a climate of uncertainty, anxiety, and disillusionment, slowly eroding the trust and security that are essential for a healthy and fulfilling partnership. A healthy relationship is built on a foundation of shared goals, mutual commitment, and a clear vision for the future. Both partners should feel confident that they are on the same page, working together to build a life that is both fulfilling and sustainable. When this shared vision is lacking, the relationship can become unstable, prone to conflict and uncertainty. Vague promises about the future can manifest in a variety of ways. It might involve making general statements about wanting to be together forever without taking any concrete steps to solidify the relationship. It could involve talking about future plans, such as marriage, children, or buying a home together, but never actually setting a timeline or taking any practical action. Or it could take the form of consistently postponing important decisions, such as moving in together or introducing each other to their respective families. For a Stoic man, this pattern of vagueness can be particularly unsettling. His inherent tendency towards rationality, planning, and long-term thinking makes him value clarity, predictability, and commitment. He might be drawn to a partner who shares his desire for a stable and secure future, and he might be willing to invest significant time and energy into building a long-term relationship. However, when his partner consistently avoids making concrete commitments or taking practical steps to solidify the relationship, he might begin to question her intentions and her level of investment. He might feel as though he is being strung along, led on with empty promises that are never fulfilled. One of the most common examples of this dynamic is the consistent postponement of marriage or long-term commitment. Imagine a scenario where the Stoic man has been in a relationship for several years and has expressed a desire to get married or move in together. His partner might respond with vague excuses, such as "I'm not ready yet," or "I need more time to think about it." While these excuses might seem reasonable on the surface, they can be deeply frustrating for the Stoic man, who values clarity, commitment, and long-term planning. He might begin to question his partner's true feelings and wonder if she is truly invested in the relationship. Another manifestation of this vagueness can be the consistent failure to follow through on promises. Imagine a scenario where the couple has made plans to go on a vacation or attend a special event. At the last minute, the partner might cancel the plans, citing vague excuses or unexpected obligations. This inconsistency can be incredibly disheartening, leading the Stoic man to feel as though his time and energy are not valued. He might begin to lose trust in his partner's words and actions, leading to a gradual erosion of intimacy and connection. Furthermore, vague promises about the future can extend to the realm of personal growth and self-improvement. Imagine a scenario where the partner promises to address certain behaviors or habits that are negatively impacting the relationship. However, despite making these promises, she consistently fails to take any concrete steps to change her behavior. This lack of accountability can be incredibly frustrating, leading the Stoic man to feel as though his concerns are not being taken seriously. He might begin to feel as though he is being manipulated or gaslighted, leading to a further erosion of trust and respect. The key to addressing this issue lies in setting clear expectations and holding each other accountable. Both partners must be willing to openly and honestly discuss their long-term goals and to take concrete steps to solidify the relationship. The Stoic man must learn to articulate his needs and expectations clearly and assertively, without fear of judgment or ridicule. He must communicate to his partner the importance of commitment, accountability, and long-term planning. The partner, in turn, must be willing to listen with empathy and understanding, acknowledging the validity of his needs and making a genuine effort to meet them. She must also be willing to take responsibility for her own actions and to follow through on her promises. This requires a willingness to engage in difficult conversations, to confront uncomfortable truths, and to make a conscious effort to cultivate a more transparent and accountable relationship. It requires both partners to be honest and vulnerable, to express their fears and desires openly and without fear of judgment. Ultimately, addressing the issue of vague promises requires a fundamental shift in perspective. Both partners must recognize that a healthy relationship is built on a foundation of trust, commitment, and shared goals. It requires a conscious effort to prioritize these values, to communicate openly and honestly, and to hold each other accountable. Only then can the relationship thrive and flourish, providing a secure and stable foundation for a shared future. The Stoic man must stand firm in his values, and the partner must reciprocate with honesty and action, working together to build a future grounded in trust and commitment. Imagine being a treasured masterpiece, carefully hidden away in a dimly lit room, never allowed to bask in the light of day or be admired by the world. This is the isolating and demoralizing experience of being in a relationship that is consistently kept secret, where your existence as a partner is deliberately concealed from family, friends, and a wider social circle. This pattern of secrecy can create a climate of suspicion, insecurity, and emotional distance, slowly eroding the sense of belonging and validation that are essential for a healthy and fulfilling partnership. A healthy relationship thrives on transparency, openness, and integration into each other's lives. Both partners should feel proud to be with each other, willing to share their relationship with the world, and to integrate their respective social circles. When this openness is lacking, it can raise red flags and create a sense of unease. Keeping the relationship secret can manifest in a variety of ways. It might involve avoiding public displays of affection, such as holding hands or kissing in public. It could involve not introducing the partner to family or friends, or actively avoiding social situations where they might encounter each other. Or it could take the form of keeping the relationship off social media, avoiding posting pictures or mentioning the partner online. For a Stoic man, this pattern of secrecy can be particularly perplexing. His inherent tendency towards honesty, integrity, and authenticity makes him value transparency and openness in relationships. He might be willing to share his relationship with the world, proud to be with his partner, and eager to integrate her into his social circle. However, when his partner consistently avoids acknowledging the relationship publicly, he might begin to question her motives and her level of commitment. He might feel as though he is being hidden away, as though she is ashamed of him or unwilling to fully commit to the relationship. One of the most common examples of this dynamic is the avoidance of introducing the partner to family and friends. Imagine a scenario where the Stoic man has been in a relationship for a significant amount of time and has repeatedly expressed a desire to meet his partner's family and friends. His partner might consistently make excuses, such as, "My family is really difficult," or "I'm not ready for them to meet anyone yet." While these excuses might seem plausible on the surface, they can be deeply unsettling for the Stoic man, who values family and social connection. He might begin to question why his partner is so reluctant to integrate him into her life and wonder if she is truly committed to the relationship. Another manifestation of this secrecy can be the avoidance of public displays of affection. Imagine a scenario where the couple is out in public and the Stoic man attempts to hold his partner's hand or put his arm around her. She might subtly pull away or avoid physical contact, making him feel self-conscious and unwanted. This lack of affection can be incredibly disheartening, leading him to feel as though she is ashamed of him or unwilling to acknowledge their relationship publicly. He might begin to question her true feelings and wonder if she is truly proud to be with him. Furthermore, keeping the relationship secret can extend to the realm of social media. Imagine a scenario where the Stoic man posts a picture of himself and his partner on social media, only to have her ask him to take it down or untag her. Or she might consistently avoid mentioning him in her own social media posts, creating the impression that she is single or unattached. This lack of acknowledgement on social media can be incredibly hurtful, leading him to feel as though he is being erased from her life. He might begin to feel as though she is trying to hide him from her friends and followers, leading to a sense of insecurity and resentment. The key to addressing this issue lies in open and honest communication about the reasons behind the secrecy. It's crucial to understand the motivations behind the behavior before jumping to conclusions. The Stoic man must learn to articulate his needs and concerns clearly and assertively, without fear of judgment or ridicule. He must communicate to his partner the importance of transparency, openness, and integration into each other's lives. The partner, in turn, must be willing to listen with empathy and understanding, acknowledging the validity of his concerns and making a genuine effort to address them. She must also be willing to be honest about her own motivations for keeping the relationship secret, whether they stem from past experiences, personal insecurities, or external pressures. This requires a willingness to engage in difficult conversations, to confront uncomfortable truths, and to make a conscious effort to cultivate a more open and transparent relationship. It requires both partners to be honest and vulnerable, to express their fears and desires openly and without fear of judgment. Ultimately, addressing the issue of keeping the relationship secret requires a fundamental shift in perspective. Both partners must recognize that a healthy relationship thrives on transparency, openness, and a willingness to integrate into each other's lives. It requires a conscious effort to prioritize these values, to communicate openly and honestly, and to build a relationship based on trust and mutual respect. Only then can the relationship flourish, providing a secure and validating space for both partners to grow and connect. The Stoic man must voice his need for acknowledgement, and the partner must respond with honesty and transparency, working together to build a relationship that is both authentic and publicly affirming. Imagine being a puppet, your strings manipulated by an unseen force, compelled to dance to a tune not of your own choosing. This is the disempowering and suffocating experience of being in a relationship where emotional leverage is used as a tool for control, where your feelings are exploited to manipulate your behavior and ensure compliance. This pattern of manipulation can create a climate of fear, anxiety, and emotional exhaustion, slowly eroding your sense of self-worth and autonomy. A healthy relationship is built on a foundation of mutual respect, empathy, and equality. Both partners should feel empowered to express their needs and desires, to make their own choices, and to maintain their sense of individuality. When emotional leverage is used, this balance of power is disrupted, creating an environment of control and coercion. Emotional leverage can manifest in a variety of ways. It might involve using guilt or shame to manipulate your behavior, such as saying, "If you really loved me, you would," or "You're always disappointing me." It could involve threatening to withdraw affection or attention, such as giving you the silent treatment or saying, "I don't know if I can be with someone who," or it could take the form of playing the victim, exaggerating your mistakes, or blaming you for your own unhappiness. For a Stoic man, this pattern of manipulation can be particularly insidious. His inherent tendency towards self-control, responsibility, and empathy can make him vulnerable to emotional blackmail. He might be inclined to prioritize his partner's feelings over his own, willing to sacrifice his own needs and desires in order to avoid conflict or make her happy. However, this self-sacrifice can be exploited. His partner might learn to use his empathy against him, playing on his guilt or fear to manipulate him into doing what she wants. Over time, this can erode his sense of self-worth and autonomy, leaving him feeling trapped and controlled. One of the most common examples of this dynamic is the use of guilt to manipulate behavior. Imagine a scenario where the Stoic man wants to spend time with his friends or pursue a hobby. His partner might respond with guilt-tripping comments, such as, "I wish you wanted to spend more time with me," or "I'm always alone when you're gone." These comments can make him feel guilty for pursuing his own interests and create pressure for him to prioritize her needs over his own. Over time, this can lead him to abandon his own passions and isolate himself from his friends, becoming increasingly dependent on his partner. Another manifestation of emotional leverage can be the use of threats to withdraw affection. Imagine a scenario where the Stoic man expresses disagreement with his partner or asserts his own needs. She might respond by threatening to break up with him or saying, "I don't know if I can be with someone who." These threats can be incredibly intimidating, leading him to suppress his own opinions and needs in order to avoid losing her affection. Over time, This can erode his sense of self-worth and leave him feeling as though he is constantly walking on eggshells. Furthermore, emotional leverage can extend to the realm of playing the victim. Imagine a scenario where the Stoic man makes a mistake or unintentionally hurts his partner's feelings. She might respond by exaggerating his mistake, blaming him for her own unhappiness, or claiming that he is intentionally trying to hurt her. This victim playing can be incredibly manipulative, leading him to feel responsible for her happiness and to constantly apologize for his actions, even when he is not entirely to blame. Over time, this can erode his sense of self-confidence and leave him feeling as though he is constantly failing her. The key to addressing this issue lies in recognizing the signs of emotional manipulation and setting healthy boundaries. It's crucial to understand that you are not responsible for your partner's happiness and that you have the right to assert your own needs and desires. The Stoic man must learn to recognize the patterns of emotional manipulation and to challenge his own tendency towards self-sacrifice. He must learn to assert his needs and boundaries clearly and assertively, without fear of guilt or intimidation. The partner, in turn, must be willing to acknowledge her own manipulative behavior and to take responsibility for her actions. She must be willing to learn healthier ways of communicating her needs and resolving conflicts, without resorting to emotional blackmail. This requires a willingness to engage in difficult conversations, to confront uncomfortable truths, and to make a conscious effort to cultivate a more equitable and respectful relationship. It requires both partners to be honest and vulnerable, to express their needs and desires openly and without fear of judgment. Ultimately, addressing the issue of emotional leverage requires a fundamental shift in perspective. Both partners must recognize that a healthy relationship is built on a foundation of mutual respect, empathy, and equality. It requires a conscious effort to prioritize these values, to communicate openly and honestly, and to set healthy boundaries. Only then can the relationship flourish, providing a safe and empowering space for both partners to grow and thrive. The Stoic man must reclaim his autonomy, and the partner must reciprocate with respect and empathy, working together to build a relationship founded on genuine connection and mutual empowerment. Conclusion. As we draw this extensive exploration to a close, it is crucial to revisit the key insights we have gleaned throughout this journey. We embarked on this analysis not to foster suspicion or create division, but rather to illuminate the subtle and often insidious dynamics that can undermine the foundations of even the most seemingly stable relationships, particularly those involving Stoic men. We have delved into the nuanced indicators that may suggest a woman is, either consciously or unconsciously, exploiting the Stoic qualities of her partner, examining the consequences of such exploitation, and offering strategies for navigating these challenging situations. We began by exploring the pervasive issue of ignoring a partner's needs, highlighting the devastating impact of a lack of reciprocity and mutual care. We emphasize that a healthy relationship is not a one-way street, but a dynamic and reciprocal exchange of support, understanding, and validation. When a Stoic man's needs are consistently overlooked, his emotional well-being is compromised, leading to resentment, isolation, and a gradual erosion of intimacy. Next, we examined the damaging effects of avoiding important conversations, underscoring the vital role of open and honest communication in fostering connection and resolving conflicts. When difficult topics are consistently evaded, the relationship becomes stagnant, unable to grow and evolve. The Stoic man, often hesitant to initiate challenging discussions, may find himself trapped in a cycle of silence and misunderstanding, leading to frustration and emotional distance. We then turned our attention to the unsettling phenomenon of vague promises about the future, highlighting the anxiety and uncertainty that can arise when long-term commitment remains perpetually out of reach. A healthy relationship is built on a shared vision and mutual commitment, providing a sense of security and stability. When vague promises are made, but never fulfilled, the Stoic man may question his partner's intentions and feel as though he is being led on with empty words. Subsequently, we explored the isolating experience of keeping the relationship secret, emphasizing the importance of transparency, openness, and integration into each other's lives. When a partner deliberately conceals the relationship from family, friends, or the wider social circle, it can create a climate of suspicion and insecurity. The Stoic man may feel as though he is being hidden away, leading him to question his partner's commitment and her pride in being with him. Finally, we delved into the manipulative tactic of using emotional leverage, highlighting the disempowering effect of exploiting a partner's feelings to control their behavior. A healthy relationship is built on mutual respect, empathy, and equality. When emotional leverage is used, this balance of power is disrupted, creating an environment of coercion and control. The Stoic man, often empathetic and responsible, may be particularly vulnerable to emotional blackmail, sacrificing his own needs and desires to avoid conflict or make his partner happy. These insights are not merely about identifying potential problems. They are about empowering you to create healthier, more fulfilling relationships grounded in mutual respect, empathy, and genuine connection. Recognizing these signs is the crucial first step towards change. It's about understanding the dynamics of your relationships and ensuring you are treated with the respect and fairness you deserve. If any of these points resonated with you, it might be time to reevaluate your relationships and take proactive action. This may involve initiating difficult conversations, setting clear boundaries, seeking professional guidance, or, in some cases, making the difficult decision to end the relationship. Remember, you have the right to be treated with respect, to have your needs met, and to be in a relationship that fosters your growth and well-being. As you navigate the complexities of relationships, remember to cultivate self-awareness, practice assertive communication, and prioritize your own emotional well-being. By understanding these dynamics and implementing these strategies, you can protect yourself from emotional harm and build relationships that are both fulfilling and sustainable. It's about creating a space for genuine connection, where both partners feel valued, respected, and understood.